Guten Abend, meine Freunde, and welcome to another thrilling evening of GPVWC action. Grab your lederhosen and hold on to your Wasser, because we're gearing up for a fantastic evening of racing here at the iconic Hockenheim Ring. Situated on the edge of Baden-Württemberg, in southwest Germany, the Hockenheim Ring used to be a flat-out blast through the forest until Hermann Tilke got his sticky fingers on it. Now, we have a much shorter layout, but with more overtaking opportunities than before. So, grab your pretzels, fill up your steins, and get ready for a wild ride as we bring you every twist, turn, and probably multiple crashes from the 4th tier in GPVWC, it's Formula Sprint 2. My name is Toby Davis, and I'm joined by my favourite Nummer 2, Alex Foulkes. How are you, friend?
It feels like every single race we've got a new ChatGPT-esque intro. This one especially felt that way, Toby.
It's very sad that you say that, because I write all of this by myself.
I know, but you sound like an actual chatbot that's blurting this out. Anyway, qualifying. James Knox was fastest in practice, which I was quite surprised by.
Whoa. I asked how you were.
Well, I'm okay.
That's good.
How are you, Toby?
Yeah, looking forward to qualifying.
And the race after that, you know. There's two of them, actually.
I will point out this. Vincent Gutt is with us, and you can see there's one driver out there on wets. It means it is a damp track, and everyone else is on the dry tyres, marked by D for dry. As you can see, the track looks fairly dry to me, but obviously we have had some rain in practice, so expect the times to improve, Alex.
I would say so. It looks slightly damp. You can see where there's a drier line where the track is lighter, where the cars are going over. But yeah, we've had a lot of rain recently in the past couple of races, and especially at Silverstone. That was interesting, really, because it was sort of iffy on the strategy, especially in race 1. So I'm kind of hoping we'll see that again, but I don't think... Oh, Esteras is almost drifting it around the hairpin, but no, he goes around.
Not optimal. Suboptimal from Oliver Taras in the Apex Grand Prix car. We have some different drivers on track today. Keep an eye out for them as we go through them. Mika Hakimi is back in KV86 though. I think on balance, this is going to be a topsy-turvy grid, considering some big names are missing, aren't they, Alex? I don't know how much you've looked into this, but there are some notable absences from previous front runners.
Yes. For instance, you've got Noah Tuomela, who's been absent the past 2 races now, and is replaced by Mika Hakimi in the championship leaders of KV86. But yeah, it's normal to see quite a few changes each round, but yeah, we've got a lot of, I'd say, new drivers to the series, this race especially, with... of course, the Academy team, which has new drivers constantly coming into their lineup, but also Charlotte Mennick driving for Hunter Birch.
Yes. We saw Joe Gillette last time out. He was fantastic in race 2 at Silverstone. He will suffer from a back-of-the-grid penalty due to a qualifying infringement. He escaped and went back out. Basically, you're not allowed to escape whilst out on track. You have to do it inside the pit lane. So keep an eye out for him storming through the field in race 1, or getting involved in some incidents, I'd imagine. But there was quite a lengthy penalty list after the last round. It was a bit messy, wasn't it, to be honest with you? Especially
Yes.
race 2 was a bit chaotic. Hopefully we don't have any of that this time out, although, to be honest with you, I am not holding my breath.
No, and like I've said before, you are sort of a magnet for poor driving standards when it comes to whatever series you are commentating over. Of course, the Super Lights race that you commentated in Imola was an absolute joke. Yes, that's the word. The best use to describe that is Patrick Magnussen's going fastest out of anyone. Currently, he does not take pole, and that's taken by Mikael Tuomala, actually. So, yeah, times are tumbling. It was 31 previously, 31 seconds, plus a minute in terms of lap time.
No one reads it like that.
I was trying to read 31
Thanks,
seconds,
Al.
but I realized it's not that short of a lap here at Hockenheim, but...
Well, I mean, yes. Yeah, I've completely lost it. What I was going to say is, I mean, it does sound like I don't enjoy doing this. I do. I enjoy my Tuesdays every other week watching this and bring it to life and hopefully bringing everyone who watches a little bit of joy from the Formula Sprint 2 guys. Teemu Toika moves into 10th place, but 1.5 seconds best part of off the current pole position, so he'll want to improve on that. This is Kasper Koritz, who is 0.3 of the good in the first sector. So, as expected, and this is why we're not really commentating too much on what's been going on, the times are tumbling. The track is definitely going to improve as we go through this session, especially if it was a little damp to start with. Koritz sliding his way out of what is, I mean, it's no longer a new track layout. It's 2002 that the track moved from the flat-out blast through the forest into what we have now, which is effectively a Tilkedrome. This lap will not count, Kasper, as that is too wide, my friend. And that's a shame, because he was a fair chunk up onto Amala's pole time.
Yeah, and speaking of penalties, Patrick Magnusson got a couple of penalties last round, or I think a single penalty. But our championship leader, as he is right now, is actually on 7 out of 10 license points. So if he gets 3 more offences at this rate, he might end up with a race ban.
Yeah, that's a good chunk of license points that you do not want at this point. And it gets a one race ban, isn't it? And then you only have 5 points on your license. Then if you transgress again, I believe it goes up to 2 races that you cannot attend. By races, sorry, events. So that's effectively in this championship, it's 4 events. 4
Which
races.
is a big hit, because that's 40 points potentially you're missing out on, 45 points. Up to 47, of course, with fastest laps.
Ooh.
Jonas Corrales.
Yes.
Provisionally.
Yeah, I still expect the track to improve somewhat from this point. Florian Haase that's not too wide. He actually turned in the
racing line.
Yeah, he turned in from the sort of the grass on the way into turn 1 there, which used to be called the Nordkurve back in the day. Probably still is actually. But Haase, this lap again, similar to what we watched from Koritz, this is not going to count. You have to stay within track limits, which in GPVWC is 2 wheels within the white lines, unless there's a curb, and then you must have 2 wheels on said curb. So, for example, here, that is legal, what Taras just did, keeping 2 wheels on the blue and white curbing.
No, he seems to go wide and show what's not legal.
But it's not F1 rules where it's 2 wheels within the white lines. You can use 2 wheels on that curbing.
Which I think is honestly better than F1, because I've always thought that track limits is a bit of a joke when it comes to Formula 1. If you don't want them to use a racing surface, don't put the racing surface there.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but what they've been doing actually on the tracks recently is where there's been a wide curb, they've actually moved the white line out further towards the edge of that curb, so people can still use it and it's still within track limits. It's a nice compromise. They did it Austria, the final corner. If you have a look at IRL in real life races at that track, they've actually extended where the white line is, so it kind of works both ways. I'm on the fence, to be honest with you. There was a big thing in the UK when I was racing in the UK a few years ago when Jonathan Palmer, Motorsport Vision, introduced a load of track limits at all his tracks, and it was basically 2 wheels within the white lines, and he put these awful sausage curb things in the middle of the curbs, and if you went over them, it would take a photo of you outside of track limits, and then you'd have to go and see the stewards afterwards, and they'd go, well, you went outside track limits. You went, nah, and then they'd just go, here's the photo. But thankfully they don't do that in F1. It's a bit childish, in my opinion. Here's Patrick Magnusson, who's gone purple through the first 2 sectors. Could this be a 29? Oh, blimey, it's nearly a 28. That is a huge improvement for Patrick Magnusson. Takes provisional pole.
Yeah, great improvement. Purple in all 3 sectors, and I'm sure it was bound to improve once more as we cut to Kasper Koritz going through the stadium section on his outlap. Do we actually have any home drivers? Oh, of course, Florian Haase is out on track, but I think that's it. Oh, Jörn Dix as well.
Yes, a very German team at Excellion. There probably is someone else. I'm looking. Yes, Golda, indeed. Is he here? Okay, there we go. So Bjorn Golder is also Germanic.
I think that's it in terms of Germans on the track.
Not that. Here's Mike Bell, who is, I believe, Golder's teammate. Yes, Bjorn Golder's teammate at Smile Power. Mike Bell is very, or has been, the most grumpy I've ever seen Mike Bell in Discord recently. He has had zero luck this season. Every single time we cut to him on the broadcast, he's being hit by someone else. And he put in a fair chunk of reports at the last round and got multiple penalties, one of which was for Mano Manakandan, which was a 30-place grid penalty and 3 license points for Manakandan.
It was a shocking rejoin.
Yeah, it was a shocking rejoin, but nevertheless shows like how Bell feels about this season so far. Really, I don't know him to do reports of that extent. And I've known him for many years. Bell moves up into the top 10. In fact, he was 9th already. He's moved up to 8th and has just been deposed by Bobby Vakuinov, who's gone up to 8th position. But they're a fair way off Magnussen, who really has set a fantastic lap time with that 29.0. And frankly, it's going to take some beating.
Yeah, and you've also got Mika Hakkinen in the other KV86 up in 2nd as well. So as it stands right now, a good qualifying for KV86. This is Jonas Corrala, the first of, not the first of the priority ones, but sliding into the stadium section. I thought there was first, but Craig Patterson's up in 5th. So a lot of drivers who are typically further down, I would say, in qualifying.
Oh, Jonas!
And Jonas Corrala off at the final corner, or the penultimate corner, I should say. I always count that as one corner for some reason.
It is sort of when you're driving it, of course, but technically 2 corners. Turn 16, the final corner is the Sudkurve, which goes handily with turn 1 being the Nordkurve. Makes complete sense, south and north. Here's Mateusz Majka coming into the stadium section, as it used to be called. This is coming towards turn 11, which has been very nicely renamed the Mobile 1 corner, Mobile 1, presumably. Which we shall not be calling it because turn 11 is less corporate. But he turns into that final couple of corners now. You do take it as one continuous sweep. It's actually a really nice corner to drive. And you can borrow a bit of the drag strip on the way through. Micah goes P2, but he's still half a second off Magnussen in P1, just highlighting Magnussen's lap time once again. And this is kind of reminiscent of the Jeddah qualifying, where we saw Apex were miles ahead of everyone. Magnussen and, to a lesser extent, Hakkinen have just got it right, haven't they?
Yeah, and I saw a lot of work being done by KB86 in the 2 weeks after what was sort of a lukewarm performance at Silverstone. And yeah, they've been putting in a lot of work to get this setup perfect, from what I know at least. So clearly paying off for them. Like you said, Mateusz Majka still half a second off just in qualifying, and Magnussen probably didn't even set that lap at the most optimal point for the circuit as well, as these drivers are driving in on a more rubbered-in circuit as it is, more optimal for the car's grip. So yeah, it is quite impressive to see this from the KV86 team.
Majka has matched, however, Magnussen through the first sector. He's only 12 thousandths down, and now he's 2/10 to the good through the middle part of the lap. Coming into the final sector now, he's just got to keep it neat and tidy as he heads into the Sachs Curve, and that was nicely tight towards the apex. Coming into the final couple of corners now for Mateusz. He's just got to hit those apexes and not lose time here, because the middle sector is good enough for a provisional pole. If he can maintain that advantage, heads through the final corner now towards the start-finish line. Oh, 28.714. He smashed it. 3/10 to the good. And that means Magnussen has to respond. Where is Magnussen on track? Let's have a quick look. He is... That's Hakkinen going across the start-finish line. He has improved. Magnussen is a long way off, but will get one final lap. He's going to cross the line just with it ticking over towards the end of the session, but he's just going to get the lap time in. 10 seconds left on the clock. So Magnussen has got one shot at retaking that pole position. Tua Mala has shoveled his way up into P2 as well. So Oh, and times are tumbling. Taras has gone into P4 as well. It is now the checkered flag, so anyone who crosses the line, that will be their final lap. Let's see what Patrick Magnusson has done as he heads through Sector 1. He is purple, but only by 8 thousandths. This is Magnusson's time to respond. Is Micah still on a lap? That's another question. No, he is not. He's not still on a lap. I'm looking at race view. And Vincent Gutt just said in my end, nope. So Micah not on a lap. So this is... it's going to be a fight between Magnusson, I think, and him, although Oliver Taras is also very quick in the first sector. He's done his personal best, and that actually matches what Micah has done through Sector 1. Here comes Magnusson into the Sector 2 split. Let's see where he ends up compared to provisional pole. Alex, this has looked a very tidy lap from Patrick.
Yeah, sliding through that stadium section, but like you have said, he's purple in the second sector by just over half a tenth, and he was, well, Taras behind him was not that far behind what Patrick Magnusson had set, as that's not very tidy through the Sachs curve, but that doesn't mean that he isn't able to improve to pole here. He's got 0.3 of a second to find on his previous best lap. I doubt that outside of the Sachs curve will cost him that much. So let's see where he can end up in terms of overall.
4,000! He takes pole! What a lap from Magnusson. He just held onto the car through the Sachs cover. What has Oliver Taras got? He's heading through the final corner now. He moves himself up into P4. 0.3 off pole. I think that's it. I think Magnusson has stolen it right at the death. He just crossed the line in time to start his lap and takes pole by 4 thousandths of a second from Mateusz Micah. Nobody else is able to improve. So that is qualifying done. And Magnusson takes pole, Alex.
Yeah, great work from Magnusson at the end there, just to sneak in behind Micah. Oh, sorry, in front of Micah. So here's your results for qualifying. Patrick Magnusson takes pole with a 28.710. Micah behind him. Tuamala third. Great qualifying by him, with Oliver Taras in fourth. A slight resurgence for Apex Grand Prix. Yunus Kerala got up to fifth in the dying moments, with Mika Hakkinen behind him. Chris Sfilo in seventh, won the first reading games, and a good performance in qualifying for them, with Boba Vaknov behind him. And Charlotte Mennick, new to the series, starts ninth for race one. Dan Hayek rounds out the top 10 for reading game. In 11th, then, it's Craig Patterson with Kurt Rochiav, Messier Pierre, and Magnus Hockenheim behind him. And last of the top 15 is Casper Kuritz. Tom Parker, 16th, with the second GPVWC Academy car of Timu Toika in 17th, with James Knox, Mike Bell, and Terence Skreck rounding out the top 20. 21st, Ben Skinner with Florian Hasse and Jörn Dix, the two German Excellion drivers, in 22nd and 23rd, with Nick Kuiper and Kalen Penny behind them. Mihailo Zandhavich up in 26th with a 30.8, with Brody Lawless behind him. He's new to 0-1, as well as Caitlin Penny. Dan Hutt is 28th, and Josh Dexter, Björn Golder round out the top 30. And just two drivers behind him who didn't set a lap time, Joe Gillette and Philip Savinsky. Gillette, of course, with that back of the grid penalty. So an exciting qualifying there, Toby. We saw huge improvements by a lot of the top drivers.
Yeah.
But close at the end there.
We absolutely did. It was very, very tight right at the end. It should be a very exciting race one. Stay tuned. Vincent wants to check something. Personally, I'm not a doctor, so I don't think I can help, but I'd imagine it isn't related to that. So we'll see what happens. We'll be back momentarily. Please stay with us. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Vincent had to put away some shopping, so that's why we had a little delay. It's important stuff, this. Alex, how are you feeling?
Tired, actually. No, I'm very excited for the race ahead. We've got wow, there's a lot of cars that are going by there.
Well, that happens on a racetrack as it goes.
Well, yeah, but there was just a very large cluster of racing cars on the track all at once, you know?
Was it a bit overwhelming?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, that's good.
I'm glad. Yeah, here's that massive cluster of cars.
There it is,
8,
beautifully
roughly
illustrated.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
Lots
9.
of them. We have 5 minutes left in warm-up. If anyone is still watching in the YouTube chat, please let us know what you'd like us to talk about. I will literally talk about anything.
Apart from politics.
No politics. No, we're not talking about anything, especially American politics. So stay well clear of that.
Yep.
We will talk about pretty much anything though. I will say this: the intro video that we have is wonderful, and if you guys missed it, just go back to the start of the stream. It is superb. We now have an updated video that Shimon Fralek made. He made the last one, and it's superb. So well done, Shimon. Thank you. He did fill in last week for, I think, yourself, Vincent, actually. Yes. He's a very good and able cameraman as well. So we thank Shimon for his hard work on the intro video as well. It is excellent. Who is your money on, Alex, for race 1?
I'll be boring. I think it's going to go to Magnussen, but I do think we'll see a bit of a battle between Micah and Magnussen at the start, especially.
Yes.
Oh, Joe Gillette.
Yeah, so Joe's starting from the back, so he is aiming for something points-wise that maybe will return him into a reverse grid win for race 2. That's what I guess what he's hoping for.
Yes.
Helping for. And there's now a poll in the YouTube chat as well. Who will win? Who will win race 1? I think Matusz Micah, personally. I think I'm the only voter of that nature, but that's what I've done. We'll see. It's a fairly long race, FS2.
17 laps.
17 laps of 1 minute 30. You can do the maths on that if you like.
Yeah. 17 by 90. Plug it into a calculator. That's about something divided by 60. Give me a second.
What I'll do is do 17 times 1.5.
It's 25 minutes each time.
Yeah.
Or 26.
Yes. So we got almost an hour of racing to watch. Which is good. That's great.
28 by the time people finish.
Yeah. And especially if there's rain about. Is there rain afoot?
Yes, that's what I want to know as well. Is there rain coming?
No, it says I don't see rain on the radar. In fairness, looking at the sky in game, it looks fairly blue.
The sky tells us nothing, though.
Yeah, I mean, it tells us something. It's currently not raining. So,
yes.
Big crash in lap 1 expected, says Harvey Habra. Yeah, probably.
I think it'll be
happens.
race 2, though. I think it won't be race 1 that it happens.
Do you really?
Yeah, I think race 2 is going to go to utter chaos.
I mean, it's not usually utter chaos, is it? It's sometimes organised or disorganised chaos.
It's still chaos, at the very least.
Nice to see the cars are back to their normal liveries for this time round.
Yeah, we can tell what they are now. It's great.
Yes, rather than guessing which historic Formula 1 team
yep.
is
and calling out the historical team instead of the actual team.
Oh, look, the orange arrows.
Yeah, the orange. Oh, the arrows is off at cops. They're dead.
Yeah.
Gone. Yeah.
Yeah, not ideal.
That
but I liked the idea behind it, to be fair.
It was a good idea. I just think it was a bit annoying all at once. In my opinion, at least, to have all the cars different liveries makes our job 10 times more difficult. Wow, Josh Texter managed to keep it together nicely there as Toby's gone and run off somewhere, I think.
No, I'm still here. Josh Dexter is currently in Italy with Alex Maggio and Davide Zanini watching him race in the same room. He's actually live streaming it as well, Josh Dexter. I'm not sure on whose account or how you find him. Oh, Zanini's. Okay, it's on Zanini's account. So, yeah, pretty cool to watch the GPV community getting together and watching Josh Dexter for Scuderia Freccianera. I assume the Italian link is that through there. So, but yeah, should be interesting to see how he gets on. I advise you strongly to watch the GPVWC stream rather than third parties.
Watch both. Why not?
Yeah, not everyone has access to multiple screens. They might be watching on their on the old phone,
tablets or
tablets
phone
or other device, whatever you want. Press the red button for more info.
Yes, maybe on their smart TV as well. I've seen it happen.
If anyone's watching this on their smart TV, I'll be
Feel
surprised.
called out.
Yeah.
Pull out your phone, write a message in chat, tell us that you're watching from your smart TV.
So you're watching it on 2 devices simultaneously. Simulcast.
Yes.
Yes. Did you watch the F1 on the weekend, Alex?
No. I could not find a legitimate source to watch the Formula 1 via. I just tend to watch the highlights anyway.
I was going to say, did you see the highlight?
Yes, that was I doubt we'll see team orders like we did then, but you know.
But how do you feel? Well, what's your honest opinion on the McLaren situation there?
I can't voice it how I want to voice it on stream, but yeah, it was pretty bad.
It was
I think it's just gonna be a one-time thing.
It was terribly mismanaged, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
Because they wouldn't have that situation if they just gave Oscar the first pit.
Well, or swap them immediately. So, and I think actually Lando was probably in Lando's best interests. If he'd have just let Oscar straight by, this wouldn't even be a thing. And in fact, no one would have batted an eyelid if Lando then caught and passed Oscar for the win after that. So I think Lando himself made a rod for his own back by leaving it for so long. But I do feel Oscar and Lando did nothing wrong. You know, Lando was gifted.
It was just a team.
Yeah, Lando was gifted a 4-second, advantage, and then pushed hard on the tires. And with the lower fuel load, it was fine to do so. I don't think Oscar pushed as hard. So yeah, I don't think anyone would have really said Lando was in the wrong without the radio messages for winning the race. But of course, once we knew all the radio messages, he had to give it up. So that's my opinion anyway. Right, Formula Sprint 2. We are at Hockenheim Ring. This is the first of 4 events at the German track for you tonight. Formula Sprint 2, Thursday Formula Sprint 1. And this is the grid for race 1. And we will see on pole position for KV86. Powerhouse is Patrick Magnussen with Matthew Schmeicher alongside him. Mikhail Tuamala and Mika Hakimi are on row 2. Row 3 is Krista Svilo with Bobby Bakuanov in 6th place. Charlotte Menink subbing at Hunter Birch Simulation in 7th. Great qualifying for her with Dan Hayek in 8th. 9th position goes to Yunus Karala and his teammate Craig Patterson alongside him in 10th. Kurt Rotiav in 11th and Machi Piege in 12th position. Ockenhaug 13th with Taras. A disappointing for him 14th position. Kasper Koritz 15th and Tom Parker 16th. 17th place goes to Timo Toika with James Knox in 18th, Mike Bell and Terence Grech 19th and 20th. P21 on the grid is Ben Skinner with Jörn Dix at his home race in 22nd, Nick Cowper 23rd and Caitlin Penny for 01 Esports in 24th position. 25th is Mihailo Vicentievich with Brody Lawless in 26th place, Florian Haase and Josh Dexter in 27th and 28th. Haase also at his home race. 29th is Bjorn Gulder, the final German on the grid, with Philip Travinsky, Dan Hutt and Joe Gillette rounding out the field. And Gillette is one to watch.
I was interested to see a couple of those grid penalties. I hadn't actually looked at the decisions document, but I think it was Jonas Karala who did qualify 4th, starts 9th because of a 5-place grid penalty. And I believe there was one more between him and Hakimi, who was at the front. So yeah, it's good for Hakimi that he's up in 4th because of the grid penalties, but also Michael Tuamala, we haven't seen him at the front that much really since the start of the season, and now he's starting in 3rd, so quite an interesting race potentially ahead of us.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And also I would say as well, Mikhail Tuamala, that we've got no Damir Karatko here either, and he was in a bit of trouble on the last round. Anyway, the race is about to begin. Magnussen on pole position. And it's go, and Magnussen gets away well. Micah is going to have to settle for 2nd position at best here as Tuamala slots in behind him and they go through turn 1, and it's pretty much single file through there. You can make a dive down into turn 2, and Micah's poking his nose out, but Magnussen holds on. Through on the inside goes Hakimi, but unable to make it stick, and Tuamala holds on to that position as they go onto the long back straight, and there is a hairpin at the end, so everyone here trying to get the slipstream and make the move on lap 1 for Kuanov side by side with Sfilo. In the background there's some absolute chaos. There's an Excellion, I think. Please tell me that's not Mike Bell. Yeah, there's an Excellion there that is in a big trouble. Mike Bell is involved. He's right at the back, and this is Micah right on the back of Magnussen here for P1 as they head into the new section of track the Mercedes corner coming up, and Micah is going down the inside, but Magnussen brakes later. Micah does make the apex, though. We will have a better exit as they head towards the stadium section, but there was some chaos further back, wasn't there, Alex?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I just saw it in the background at the start of the Parabolica, but now we're heading towards the Sachs curve with the leaders, and I think the battle's neutralized, but Micah looks to the inside. He don't really make a move there that often, although I think it was tried, and in a way, a little bit fruitless to go for that sort of move. And Hakimi also struggling to get past Tuamala further back is the battle for the podium, the final podium position, but there's also a lot of cars behind him sort of lined up single file through that final corner, and someone's off wide. I think one of the Smile Powers was struggling, or an Excellion Motorsports car, or the Friesland Racing, it might have been as well. It's any of the yellow cars at this point.
It is hard to say to see exactly further back on our monitor, but yes, a great start from Magnussen. He does lead, but it's been tailed by Micah, and they have gapped Tuamala in P3. Hakimi was making a nuisance of himself on lap 1, you would say, and as such, those two have dropped behind, and this is a bit of a slipstream fest, if you like, as Micah runs a bit deep into the hairpin at turn 6, and will look to get a bit of a switchback going on as they head towards Mercedes. There is a huge gaggle of cars from Vakuanov. Well, actually, Dan Hayek backwards, isn't there? It's all the way down pretty much to Timo Toika in P18. So
I would
you got
argue it's about 25th there, actually, looking at the gaps on
you're right. Oh, Skinner gets into the side of Brody Lawless, and Micah's making a move around the outside. He's not going to make that stick as they head into the Sachs cover on lap 2. This is a long race, neither of them troubling the apex on the way in, and they've got to be careful they don't lose too much time here, because they did have a nice gap to Tuamala, who has just caught them a little bit through the middle part of the lap, and actually is right on the back in the final corner. He is going to get a nice slipstream. It's going to be a four-way battle suddenly.
Yeah, and Tuamala actually goes fastest out of anyone overall with that lap. He was fastest in the first and second sectors, catching up to the leaders ahead. And of course, they were losing time while battling. They lost almost a second to Tuamala in the second sector. And here's Tuamala right on the back of Matusz Micah. But these top four are right next to each other, and any one of them right now is in contention for the lead of the race at any point. If it stays like this.
Yeah, I think Svilo and Hayek, the teammates at Reading Game, they are probably just a little bit too far back right now. Oh, Micah gets into the back of Magnussen! And now Magnussen's going to be under all sorts of pressure, and caused entirely by Micah. It's a four-way battle for the lead. They're nose to tail as they head towards the Mercedes section. Micah just left his braking too late. Lucky not to cause a bigger incident. Tuamala's looking on the inside. Hakimi's trying to gamble on the outside. Tuamala gives him a hip and shoulder. I think Hakimi's probably run a bit wide there, and Tuamala holds on to P3, but Micah way too deep on the brakes into the hairpin.
Yeah, I feel like that was a bit of a desperation sort of move. Tried to look to the inside. Oh, Magnussen struggling onto the gravel. Great save by him into the Sachs curve. That's going to cost him as well to Micah. And like you said, the pressure must be getting to Magnussen at this point. He's got 4 cars behind him, each one of them wanting to take the lead from him. And also here, Christos Filo has a chance of catching up to the leaders. 6 tenths between him and Mika Hakkinen. You can see them in the background. They've catched up quite nicely. Quite nicely to P4 of Mika Hakkinen. And also Micah is falling off the back of Magnussen here, and that's putting him into the grasp of Tuamala. Micah again late on the brakes, but it seems to have worked better out this time. I think that was just him catching up and got a better exit as well with those late on brakes. I think Magnussen's just trying to play it safe here, and it might be costing him a little bit.
Yeah, look how close Micah's going to be at the end of the straight. In fact, Magnussen's having to go defensive. Micah going around the outside. The grippier line to brake on here. He's trying to outbrake Magnussen. Magnussen holds the inside line, but Micah is still there and slots in behind as they head towards Mercedes again. That shows, I mean, under the sort of concertina effect, heading towards turn 2 on that lap. Shows you how close it can be under braking as Tuamala leaves it just a bit too late into Mercedes, drops back a couple of car lengths. But this is going to be a race-long fight between the two leaders. I can tell you that for nothing. It's for free. You can have that information. And Micah is looking the faster of the two, I would say, Alex.
Yeah, he seems to get most of his advantage in that first sector there, where you get the slipstream down the parabolica, and it seems to be helping him a lot because he's getting this gap of 0.7, 0.6, like we see here across the line, but he's then immediately catching up along the two straights out of the Nord curve and down the long parabolica straight. But also look now, Bobby Vakanov is getting in on the fight at the front, 3.7 seconds separate the top 7. And yeah, so not only will the two reading games might have a chance to get further up, potentially onto the podium if something bad happens with our leaders here, but also Mika Hakkinen, Michael Tuomala also looking to capitalize. And there's just a lot of drivers here in this fight at the moment.
Yes, there is. And I mean, further back through the field, we've not really checked in on the lower points paying positions, but it's been just as close back there as well. We've got James Knox here lining up for a 3 wide into the hairpin. This is going to be tight. It's Taras and PS. And in fact, Taras does go through, but Knox on the switchback had a car inside. That was PS for GPVWC Academy, and they're going to still go side by side as they head towards Mercedes. James Knox on the outside, braking on the rubber. Is he going to be able to send it down the outside? No. Taras holds on for P13. And these positions are critical for race 2, aren't they? Because of the reverse grid system we have for Formula Sprint 2. It's the 10th to 15th places at random can be reversed. So this is important stuff still, even though it's the lower end of the points paying positions.
Yeah, and also sort of risky for Magnus Hockenheim here, as he's probably right on the cusp of being on reverse grid, and he's notorious for actually getting on reverse grid pole. I thought he was earlier. I thought it was 7 to 15. So we've seen a couple of P9 reverse grids. Or I might be thinking a different series here. But
yeah, that's FS1. So it's I think it's 6 to 10 in FS1. I might be wrong there, but I think that's right. It's 10 to 15 in FS2. So I mean, if you're in the top 10, you are still going to start high on the grid because of the reverse grid nature. So that's where you want to be. But yeah, the leaders have slightly spread out. Micah is 5/10 back of Magnussen now, so we're just watching Kasper Kuritz, who is embroiled in a battle with Menink, who is battling away there with Craig Paston trying to go around the outside. Charlotte Menink on the inside. Oh, Kuritz has been smashed by Oliver Taras. What? Why would you drive into the back of these two? Like, what? You can see that happening. Why would you drive into the back of a stationary car? It's just dumb.
Yeah, I have no words for that one, but that's also unfortunate for Apex Grand Prix, who are not having the greatest of races recently, especially after Yasser Lahtinen left. And Taras, I think, has got heavy suspension damage. He's moving out of the way of most cars in front of him.
Who is that in front of Taras? I think that's the car that drove in. It's the Rotiav. Rotiav just piled in. A good second or two after the incident occurred. They were all stationary on the apex. He just smashed into the side of them. I don't understand. Like, you're the first car coming onto the scene. You can see the stationary cars. What are you doing? What are you looking at? You're supposed to be looking through the corner at the apex. Like, what can you possibly be looking at? Anyway, Micah and Magnussen have now gapped Tuomala, so we've missed some drama at the front of the field. Hakimi actually is also gapped Svilo and Hayek, so a bit of a gap between second and third, and between fourth and fifth. But what that does do is it opens up the points for people like Brody Lawless. Look, Tom Parker, 14th, 15th. They can potentially get that reverse grid position now, as we watch Timo Toika lining up Ben Skinner and trying to go through on the inside, but I think Skinner is going to hold it around the outside there. You get better traction out there where the racing line is, and indeed, Skinner holds on.
Magnussen was fastest out of anyone on the last lap with 29.575, but he's still unable to make a significant gap between him and Micah. Of course, this season we don't have DRS, so it's a lot harder to catch up on the straights, but also slipstream is a lot more powerful. But I think we're also seeing the advantage Micah has in the final sector here, as he's catching up to Magnussen in sort of the faster parts of the track. But yeah, it's quite close between the front runners, without it being close that much, if you try and understand what I mean by that. not that much racing, but they are just very, very close proximity on the track.
Yeah. I think this is showing how strong the slipstream is in Formula Sprint 2. There is no DRS in this series, but the cars are quite draggy. They're not particularly well refined. They're little cars with small engines, not very much brake horsepower, so the slipstream is critical and tends to be more powerful when you have lower horsepower. As Mike has nearly smashed into the back of Magnussen for the second time. The first one I'll let him get away with. That one was very close to being exactly the same as earlier in the race. You can't do that. You can't, like, surely you learn during the... I mean, that requires brain cells, I suppose, but surely during the race, you make a mistake and you learn from it. You learn to brake a bit earlier in the slipstream. Perhaps you haven't done many laps in traffic. But that was so close to wiping out the leader again. It's crazy to me to think that's possible twice.
Yeah, and it's the exact same thing that happened between Taras and Kuritz.
Yeah, let's watch this nonsense. Oh, this is Josh Dexter in the pit lane, starting for the pit lane. Thanks, Vince.
He's pretty good though. So
what an exciting! Look at that getaway! Great getaway!
Wow! Ooh.
Ooh. What have we got next, Vincent? Here's Joe Gillette, and this is obviously
He's
also lap 1. He is. He's benefited from some nonsense. Oh my goodness.
He started some himself there.
How is he in 18th position after that? He's been overtaken by the pit lane starting Dexter. We're about to find out what happened to Mike Bell, who is minding his own business in the middle of the pack here. Very well owned.
He's about to get murdered here, isn't he? Yep.
I think Bell's caused it, you know. I always say Bell's unlucky, but he has caused that. That is on you, Mike. Trying to stuff his car in between two others and trying to find, you know, a gap that didn't belong. I'd be very interested to see that Taras Kuritz incident again, if I can. Vincent, if you can. Yeah, maybe in a bit, he says. Okay. Okay, we're back live because Micah is a bit closer to Magnussen. I think that's going to be ebbing and flowing until the last couple of laps, to be honest. I don't think Micah is desperately trying to make his way through. He's just using that slipstream to hold on to Magnussen for the time being, which is what I'd do in this situation, to be fair. You can protect your tyres a little bit. We see it in Super League all the time, Alex, and it's a good tactic. You use the slipstream or the DRS to just keep yourself in range of the cars in front and just save your tyres a bit more to attack later on.
Yeah, because the leader at the front has to do all the work to keep the pace, and you just have to sort of match them. And obviously, Magnussen's going very quickly here, but Micah's matching him almost to a couple of thousandths of a second. As further down, Kurt Frochov sets the fastest lap of the race. So obviously they're not the fastest on track, but they are overall, out of anyone, the most, I say, consistently quick on circuit right now in this race, at least, as they've been able to get that 2-second gap to P3. And Micah, yeah, like you said, just benefiting from the slipstream down the long parabolic arm between the sud curve and Nord curve, and just those three straights, one after the other. He's able to benefit from the slip that you get from the car ahead. Yeah, he is, and I think that is probably, is that Jörn Dix a couple of laps down in front of them as well. So that will help Magnus. Oh, so it's the other one. It's Florian Haase, sorry, because Dix. No, it is Dix. It is Dix because Haase's 60 seconds back of the leaders. I was right. I did design the car. It has blue wing mirrors and yeah. Anyway, Micah is benefiting from Magnussen, but Magnussen, of course, benefiting from Jörn Dix, who needs to get out of the way once they catch them and not cause any backmarker drama, please, Jörn. We have seen that previously in GPVWC. There's a yellow flag out on track, but that's fairly commonplace in Formula Sprint 2, it must be said. A yellow flag basically means nothing in this series, I think, to the drivers especially, who don't tend to listen to them. We just sort of ignore them at this point, I think. Jörn Dix has got blue wing mirrors and also blue flags, and he'll be seeing those leaders in his wing mirrors and needs to get out of the way of them pretty soon, and he does. Well done. Quite idly. Yeah, well done. That was good driving. He's 2 laps down, so well out of contention for any points. He's just looking to pick up a few positions from DNFs as the race goes on. But Hakimi is pretty close to Tuamala this time around, and Tuamala slipstreaming Dix, who is handily getting out of the way of 3rd and 4th place runners as well. Oh,
Oh my goodness, man.
every time you try and compliment Dix, I think it's.
I swear to God, like at Silverstone, right? I literally said he's been super clean and then smashes into the side part. I think it was Magnussen, or it might have been Hockenheim.
It was Magnussen.
It was Magnussen. This time around, he nearly completely wipes out Hakimi. Thankfully, he didn't, so I don't have to say it anymore. But that was so close to swiping the back of the KV86. It's. I think Dix has already had a race ban, and I need to clarify something I said earlier this season as well. Earlier this broadcast. Once you have had 10 license points, you get 1 race ban. If you get another 5, that's it for the season. It's not a 2 race ban, it's for the season. You are out. Cannot compete anymore. And Dix has got to be super careful if he's on his second set of points. I mean, it's game over if he wipes out Hakimi there. Anyway, he didn't, so we carry on. Here's Craig Patterson fighting with Charlotte Mennick, who's, by the way, doing a great job in P11, standing in at Hunter Birch for that rotating second seat. I think Gillette has been there pretty much all the season, but yeah, the second seat has been rotated, and Mennick is in the car this time around, and Patterson lining her up as they head onto the long back straight towards the hairpin. I think Patterson has a really good run here. This should be nice and easy as he goes around the outside. Has the shorter run towards the hairpin as well. And they come towards the braking zone. And in fact, Patterson gets enough of an overlap to actually...
Oh, come on. It happens every time. In the slipstream, you need to brake earlier. It should be known at this point. 3 incidents now we've had where we've been in the slipstream and we're just not braking early enough. It happened with Kurtz and Oliver Taras. It happened with Micah and Magnussen, and now we've just seen it again with Patterson.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, Patterson moved a couple of times before the braking zone, but was very straight as he entered the braking zone, and unfortunately, Mennick just piled into the back of him, and it's again useless. From someone else different this time. It's not just one driver I'm picking on. You just shouldn't do that. It's so simple to race these cars. You just brake earlier when you're in the slipstream coming towards a hairpin, especially if you're on the right hand side of the track and you haven't got your brake markers. It's better to be cautious. Why they're piling in at a million miles an hour and smashing into the back of people, I do not know.
Some of life's great mysteries, Toby, and they will never be answered, I'm sure. But Hakimi here on the back of Tuamala, and I think we're about to see maybe a move into the hairpin.
Micah's very close look to Magnussen this time around as well, thinking about a move. Hakimi sends one down the inside of Tuamala. That was very late and does take the position, but Tuamala is going to try and take the position back as they head through the right-hander and into the curved braking zone of the left. And in fact, Hakimi does get the overlap, makes the move stick. That was a very late lunge, but was given room by Tuamala, and I think it was a fairly clean overtake after all. So well done to Tuamala, and he will, to Hakimi, and he will try and get after Micah now for P2.
Yeah, very solid move. He sort of sold Tuamala the dummy, felt safe going into the corner, but then sent a late lunge down the inside. And I think it was rather masterful, that sort of move from Hakimi, showing drivers how they should be taking that hairpin. Obviously, going down the inside, trying to overtake, you don't just go straight into the back of the car ahead.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, it is possible. And Mika Hakimi, an experienced and talented driver elsewhere in sim racing, showing that it can be done. Shock.
Wow. Who would have thought?
Indeed.
It's easy not to crash into other cars.
Well, apparently some of these people don't know that. Here comes Micah then, and the gap is less than half a second, as it has been for the last few laps. Just not able to get the exit, is he? To challenge down into the hairpin. It's always just 0.3 when they get to the braking zone. Micah this time a much better braking point as they head into the hairpin. Not close enough though. Penalty for Vincentievich for something. I'm not sure what that would be, but I'm sure we'll find out as Micah just trying to cling to the back of Magnussen. There is some dirty air in Formula Sprint 2. You have to be careful, and that's why Micah is taking sort of slightly odd lines here, trying to steal a bit of clean air inside or outside the the rear wing of Magnussen. Here is what Taras did. He's not even that close to Kuritz. It's just a huge, monumental misjudgment. That is terrible driving. Terrible driving, but from behind. They have so much time to see this. This is what poor Kuritz had. He's nowhere near the cars in front. Just gets completely bedonked from behind by Taras, and then for no reason at all, two cars come piling in without even looking like they were looking.
And Kurtz broke normally at the 100 marker.
I know. I'd love to see that on board with, I think it's Rotiav, isn't it? Here we go. I mean, look at the amount of time he has. Is this? Yeah. Look at the amount of time he has to avoid. That is such poor driving. I'm sorry, Kurt. I know you'd commentate and stuff, but that is terrible. I mean, you've just got to do better than that. You can't try and turn in and at normal racing speed. You've got to just be much safer than that. He had so much time to see that happening. Micah on the back of Magnussen. Still. It's a bit closer this time round, actually, as they head through Mercedes and towards the stadium section. Mercedes in German. No one says that.
It's just Mercedes.
As they sweep through towards the Sachs Kurve. And see Micah turning in early, trying to steal a bit of clean air, get that nose in. There's another yellow in Sector 1. I think that is every time someone runs wide, as Micah might be suffering a little bit of internet issues there through the final couple of corners. His car is a little bit wobbly. I hope he doesn't disconnect, because that would ruin what has been a great and tense battle at the front of the field. That does look like his internet's on the wobble, to be honest with you, which is not good when you're actually trying to overtake another car. Thank you for changing to Magnussen's car there, Vince. It was jumping all over the place, the screen. Let's keep an eye on what happens down the back straight. It's 6/10 back though, Mikey. Just can't get the exit, can he?
No, and he was getting better at the start of the race, but I think he's just struggling with his tires now. Zion Dix gets a penalty as well. So I don't know if that's with track limits or what, because a lot of drivers, also Messier Pierre.
How can Zion Dix get a penalty when he's 2 laps down, letting cars by? Like, what? Why is he even pushing to exceed track limits if it is that a violation? What else could it be?
Yeah, I have nothing, to be honest with you.
It's just, I feel like I'm repeating myself every race. It's frustrating, to say the least. Here's Magnussen then on the penultimate lap. He has driven exemplary. Hasn't put a foot wrong, I don't think, all race. We've never seen him sideways or in trouble. We saw Micah hit him, of course, but he's never really been, you know.
He had one moment actually outside of just before Sachs.
Oh yes, sorry, he ran wide, didn't he? Yeah, he ran wide onto the gravel. So Magnussen, just that one incident, of course, but nevertheless, the gap to P5 is pretty big. It's 13 seconds to Sfilo. He has the pace at the front has been very, very quick, and frankly, it's been pretty decent up here overall. We actually have Brody Lawless taking the final point in 15th place. Micah is closer this time round by a 10th, and it is the final lap. This is the sort of position where you just lob it down the inside and hope for the best. I hope that doesn't happen, because I think he's too far back, Mateusz Micah, but nope, he is going to do it. What a send. Super sideways. I mean, could I see it coming? Magnussen did well to avoid.
Be overtaking like that.
No, neither do I. Neither do I, because you're relying on Magnussen making room for you, and Magnussen has led every lap, and a huge late send from Micah. It's just, I mean, he got it done. He got it stopped, and I don't think there was any contact, but it's all because Patrica didn't turn in. If he doesn't see him there, that is game over. Micah's going to win this race now. There's no way Magnussen's going to take him in the final couple of corners, but we'll watch that back from track cams or Magnussen's point of view, because I think that was a bit unnecessary from Micah. I don't think it's necessarily penalty worthy, but we'll see. As he crosses the line to win for Optiminal, Mateusz Micah takes race 1 here at Hockenheim. Magnussen takes P2, Hakimi P3, and Tourmalet follows him closely behind in P4. There's a battle going on between Vakunov, Hayek further back for fifth and sixth. I think Vakunov is going to cross the line fifth, and Hayek does indeed take sixth place. Koala, Knox, Philo, and Hockenheim rounding up the top 10, and Brody Lawless does indeed take the final points paying position. Joe Gillette from 32nd on the grid in 14th position. He may well be in that reverse grid mix, and yeah, that is, I mean, it's just keeping your nose clean. In Formula Sprint 2, anything can happen. This is going to be a fun watch, isn't it? Let's see from track cams. Oh, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. I mean, if you're Magnussen there, you're either going to crash or you give up that to a crazy sideways move from Micah. It's just too far on edge that. He's come from way too far back for me. Let's have another look. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I think there's nothing wrong with a move, but you're just going for a sort of suicidal send, and yeah, there's contact, and you just... I don't understand why you're even doing that. You know, you're losing it, and you're just making contact, going down the inside, forcing your opponent to make space for you, which you're not allowed to do.
The angle of his car and the way he... smashed into the front wheel and front wing of Magnussen. I mean, on another day, that causes more severe damage to both cars. He's got away with one there, Micah, but not sure what Joe Gillette is doing donuts for, mate. It's 14th place.
Maybe it's a good ball.
But Micah wins from Magnussen. Hakimi P3 with Tourmalet 4th. Vakunov, Hayek, Karala, Knox, Svilo, and Hockenheim rounding out the top 10. 11th place goes to Craig Patterson with Tom Parker, Ben Skinner, Joe Gillette, and Brody Lawless, the other drivers who could get that reverse grid pole. Nick Cowper misses out, sadly, in 16th with Timo Toika, Chavinsky, Piesh, and Dexter rounding out the top 20. 21st, Caitlin Penny. 22nd, Menink after their collision. Florian Haase, 23rd, Dan Hutt 24th, 25th is Björn Golder, 26th Vincentievich, Kuritz, Roltiav, Mike Bell, and Jörn Dix is the first DNF. And a couple more, both Apexes. Taras, pretty much from his own doing. Terence Grech involved, thanks to Mike Bell on lap 1. And that is not a sentence I normally say, but I think Bell at fault for that one. So, that was race 1. We have another 17 laps to go for race 2. We'll find out momentarily who will be on reverse grid pole. I'm going to have a quick break. Please stick around. We'll be back in 2 minutes' time. Welcome back, everyone. I think we've all had a suitable length of time away from FS2. We are now back for race 2. Joe Gillette's on pole. He finished 14th from the back of the grid. Frankly, that's the sort of luck you make when you have a nice clean race through the field to P14. You make your own luck. Now he's starting on pole. So what was potentially a rubbish round for him is going to turn out quite nicely, Alex. I don't think Alex is back. That's a shame. Well, yes, actually, Toby, I think that is a good result for Joe, actually, and I agree. I think he has made his own luck there, and frankly, I would like to see him, capitalise on that and not get swept up in what has been fairly nonsensical in the first race, which is a shame, because this championship is sometimes full of fun and top quality racing. Let's hope Race 2 does provide that, and that we're not just watching a series of unfortunate events unfold in front of us. So with Gillette on pole position, that does mean that the top 14 are reversed. So race 1 winner will be therefore 14th on the grid. That would be Micah starting 14th place, with Magnussen in 13th, Ikimi 12th, and so on. So alongside Gillette on the front row will be Ben Skinner, which always provides us with much amusement because of their surnames.
Oh, you started without me.
We did, yeah, we didn't know you weren't back, as it goes. We didn't ask.
You see, this is why everything always never works.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
It is. It is.
Gillette's on pole, Alex. I don't know if you know.
I do.
So
I said it that it would be great if Gillette was on pole. I think he's in a very good position to capitalize on it as well. He showed his pace in race 1, getting up to P14.
Yeah, I think if you look at the people around him, no offence to them, but they sort of, apart from Patterson, maybe, they were sort of in that position because they avoided crashes rather than on genuine pace through the field like Gillette. So it's just about how quickly some of the other cars can get through the pack, really. I suspect we'll see some cars lowering their wing level a little bit for race 2 because it looked like it was quite tricky to actually get by at the end of that long back straight into the hairpin, wasn't it? It was sort of, the slipstream was strong, but not quite enough to get them alongside, which is kind of what happened to Micah. He had to send it on the last lap to actually make that move, which frankly was a shame. Yeah, not ideal. I think considering there was contact made and he was out of control, I think those positions might be swapped post race, but we'll see. It does require, I think, someone. Sorry, apologies. It does require someone actually reporting that incident, so it does require a review by the disciplinary committee, which I do know a couple of members, and I think Vince himself in the break just now said it is quite likely that it's going to be a penalty, I would say.
I mean, yeah, it was completely, I'd say, unnecessary. He just went in and didn't really care much for what Patrick and Magnussen was going to do. Because if they both turned in there, they're easily both spinning out of the race and out of the race lead. So, either way, that's my opinion, and that's an opinion. Doesn't mean that's going to be the decision of the DC.
Yeah,
to get the final say.
Yeah, it doesn't. We just say. I mean, I personally, I just say what I see, and not always, I'm not always right and stuff. But yeah, Frelek has put Vicentievich P1 in race 2, and then a goat emoji.
No, he was P1 in the warm-up.
Oh, my bad. I missed that.
Really?
Very nice.
3 lap time set.
Yeah, a lot of people doing race starts, but my bad. I thought that was a prediction for race 2. I think,
although it would be impressive. I don't know where he's starting, but
results.
25th? He'd start 25th. So, yeah, it'd be an impressive...
That would be impressive. That would be very impressive from there. Hockenheim we are. Race 2 it is. GPVWC we are in. And this is Formula Sprint 2. In case you didn't know.
We'll read the title.
Plastered on the screen for you. But we do have, that is Ben Skinner. And he is starting P2. Oh, lovely. Look at those people in the crowd. See if you can spot yourself.
Oh, you got two of the same guy at the bottom right there.
Oh, there are multiple of the same guy, yeah. There's about 10 crowd figurines in our factory. It's very, very fun. Who's your money on?
Made clones.
Who's your money on?
Genuinely hope that Gillette gets another win here, although I could see a resurgence from some of the front runners in the last race. Maybe Magnussen could get further up, or potentially Hakimi might have a good shot here. As we start the formation lap. Toby, would you like to go through the grid again?
Yeah, sure. So, pole position, as we have mentioned a few times, Joe Gillette. Wonder if he will get another victory today. Ben Skinner for Team RNG P2. Tom Parker benefiting from that reverse grid for P3, and Craig Patterson P4. P5 is Magnus Hockenheim with Kirstus Svilo in 6th place, James Knox and Jonas Koala in 7th and 8th. Row 5 is Dan Hayek and Bobby Vakunov with Mikhail Tumala and Hakimi. Row 6. Row 7 is Patrick Magnussen and race 1 winner Matusz Majka. Brody Lawless, 15th place with Nick Cowper, 16th on the grid. Behind them is Timo Toika and Filip Chavinsky with Maciej Piesh and Josh Dexter, 19th and 20th. 21st and 22nd is Menink and Haza with Caitlin Penny and Björn Golder, 23rd and 24th. 25th place on the grid is Mihailo Vicentievich with Kasper Koritz, Kurt Rotiav and Dan Hutt, 26th, 27th and 28th. P29 is Mike Bell with Jörn Dix, 30th, and rounding out the grid are the two apexes of Oliver Taras and Terence Grech. It's been a very fast formation lap, by the way. Much faster
I think it's
than
just
we're
a short
used to.
track.
It is, but they were certainly, they're a long way ahead of where they were the first time round, and they were just coming into the stadium in race 1. So Gillette trying to get on with things a little bit, which I don't mind too much.
No, not at all. We didn't ask you, Toby. Who's your money on?
Do you know what? I'm gonna say, based on like overall potential, if you like, I'm gonna say Magnus Hockenheim. He's only in P5, and I think he can do something from there. We'll see.
Well, we'll see.
Right, we can't actually see the lights here, so we're just going to wait for the lights to go on and then go out, and we will be underway. And there they go. And leading away from the field is Joe Gillette, and he is not going to be troubled as they head into turn 1. And around the outside, actually, with a better run, is Ben Skinner. Gillette having to defend as they head towards turn 2. And Skinner is on the outside line. If he can hold it there, he will have the advantage as they head onto the straight, but he is unable to do so. He will have a very good slipstream as they head towards the hairpin. Looked a bit cleaner in the background this time round. I won't hold my breath on that one. In fact, there is a spinner further back. Here comes Skinner down the inside of Gillette towards the hairpin. Lap 1. This is the time to make those moves and try to progress your car towards the front of the field. And Skinner down the inside of Gillette. Gillette closes the door. It's a little late to do that. And Skinner makes the move and takes that first place position as there's a bit of a hip and shoulder further back. And it looked like someone might be sideways. Here comes Gillette. He's got a good run towards Mercedes, but Skinner holds on. And it's been a great opening lap for Ben Skinner.
Yeah, past Gillette, and it's good for him. But we've also had a lot of contact further back, and also Patrick Magnussen's got himself up to P12. But we can't forget about Tuamala and Majka, 9th and 10th themselves. So a good start by most of the front runners from last race. And here's Hakimi getting overtaken by one of the GPVWC cars. That was Timo Toyka, who hasn't actually been able to get past him there. But I think we saw at the hairpin one of the drivers getting pushed off of one of these two GPVWC Academy cars across that sausage curb on the outside. Which I think is kind of useless to have or redundant to have a sausage curb there. But nonetheless, and we just watched Kasper Kuretz go wide, and Philip Saminski looks to the inside at turn 1. It's sort of let past there by Nick Kuiper. No reason to fight around the outside there. It's more risky than it is. And further ahead, one of the Optimals is getting close to Patrick Magnusson. That's Micah, I believe, being pressured by Magnusson and also Hakimi here. So our leaders from last race, diffuser to front wing. They're going to go 3 wide, I think, into the hairpin here. This is going to go all sorts of bad if they don't sort themselves out. Here's Micah then trying to go around the outside. On the inside of him is Vakuinov, who is holding on as best he can. They're 2 by 2. And there's some chaos further back that I'm not sure what that is in the background there. It could be I think it's Dexter. It might be Josh Dexter involved. Down the inside goes Hakimi. Magnusson's actually going to go side by side with his KV86 teammate. But Hakimi holds on. Micah's got by Vakuinov, and these two will want to follow him through as soon as they possibly can. They know Micah has the pace to catch the front runners, and he's looking very racy as he goes down the inside into the Sachs curve, trying to take the position of Hayek. There was contact there, and that is... I don't know how to call that one. It looked almost like it was a 50 to 1, half a dozen to the other, to be honest with you, Alex. On that particular incident. But Skinner, Gillette, where's he gone? We have a spinner as well. Tom Parker's round. Gillette had a major internet connection issue there. I wonder if Parker was kind of spooked into sliding his car there, because Gillette, we nearly lost him. I think he's had a couple of internet issues this season so far. Parker goes round. Vakuinov giving a hip and shoulder to Hakimi. Magnusson's right there. Again, it's going to be 3 wide if they sort themselves out properly. Although Hakimi's boxing in Magnusson. Actually, he might be letting him through. And Magnusson going down the inside then of Vakuinov as they head towards the hairpin. Vakuinov giving him space. Special Vettel helmet in Magnusson's car. That was a little bit more like drifting than a Formula 1 4 times champion. But... nevertheless, doesn't make the move. Vakuinov holds on. Yeah, it seems like they're struggling to get past Bobby Vakuinov here. He's putting up a strong defense on the KV86 drivers. But Micah is already making his charge through the field. He's P8 and on the back of Michael Tuomala further ahead, who's also getting past Jonas Corral around the outside of the Sachs curve. Or it looked like he was trying to, but I don't think he's managed to make the move as Corral is still ahead into the final corner. But yeah, we've got 2 cars in the back of Corral, and just ahead of him, most of the leaders are still right there.
Yeah, they certainly haven't gapped, although Gillette has slightly gapped Skinner now. It's over a second, in fact. So that's kind of a symptom of that turn 1 nonsense that we just saw. I think Parker kind of spooked everyone really behind him as well. So there's a bit of a gap to Pass and a bit of a gap to Hockenheim. But behind them it's quite close. I think they will close up a bit, but Micah's looking strong here. He's already up to P8, only 4.8 off the lead as well. So he is in, we know he has good pace, so he's in decent position here to make his way through the pack, and he's trying around the outside of Tuomala. I think he's already got that one done, and I think Tuomala sensibly backing out of that one. He knows Micah's quicker, better to follow him through than fight that one too hard, as we're 3 wide into the hairpin. Someone's going to run out of room. Chavinsky not leaving any room at all for Charlotte Menick on the outside, and on the inside Tom Parker recovering, and he's just behind Nick Cowper, and Chavinsky sending it, not quite able to do so, and Menick there in 18th position behind Philip Chavinsky.
Yeah, it looks like he was going to go to the inside at Mercedes, but I don't think that's a wise decision to make, and it's difficult to make many moves in this sector of the track, especially considering all these long sweeping corners that you get with not really that much room to go side by side. As we're going to cut through a replay, I'll be interested to see what this is. This is Mike Bell. Please tell me something hasn't happened to him again.
Well, he is running 24th right now, which doesn't really mean... Who is that? Is that Taras? Terence Grech, what we think it is, actually, on the inside. How did he end up there, hitting Bell? Oh, it's just way too late on the brakes, isn't it? I don't know. It's not... Bell doesn't know he's there. He's coming from so far on the inside. Bell has no idea that he's there. And to be fair, Grech had space to break into and did make the apex. It's just it's exactly the same as what happened with Stevens at Austria, really, where you're breaking into space, just someone turns across your nose. That's a bit more.
What actually happened?
See how they drove around the outside and avoided the incident, though? It's miraculous.
I just want to know what actually happened there, because Caitlin Penny's teammate spun around and that caused a concertina effect. This is Tom Parker.
Yeah, I think Parker. I think Gillette. Yeah, I think Gillette spooks in there, personally, because it's not. You don't know what's going on, and then he sort of missed his breaking point and took too much speed in. So this is Caitlin Penny on board the 01 esports driver. Yeah, this is. Let's see what happened here. So 3 wide.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
That was, I think, the Scuderia Freccianera. I forgot the team name, and I knew it started with S, and I was just struggling. But yeah, that's just a torpedo down the inside and clipping the 01, and yeah.
It's one of them where you braking there, know you're going to make the apex, but the problem is the cars in front of you don't know you're doing that, so they turn across you. It's you just got to be more careful in that braking zone, really, than doing that. You're braking into that space, but other people are being more careful than you, and they're just going to chop across you if you dive bomb on the inside. So Skinner's. Go on, sorry.
No. You had cars side by side there, so it's difficult to see a car coming down on the inside of you, because you've already got one in your mirrors. You're already focusing on the car immediately behind you, so you're not going to look 2 or 3 car lengths behind you as Micah tries to get past Chris's Filo. He's got past Corolla, but Corolla's fighting back around the outside, heading towards the Mobile 1 curve, as it's called. Too corporate, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. What happened to the old-fashioned names? Why have we got sponsored corners?
It's the same with Austria.
I know, yeah. It's the Germanic-speaking peoples.
They like money.
I think we all do, to be fair. I'd sell naming rights to my name if I got some cash for it. Mobile 1 Davis. I quite like it. Micah has made his way to 6th place. Has been successfully carving his way through the pack, actually, to be fair. And now has a 6th gap in front of him to catch up to Curtis Filo. In fact, he's going to make that more like 4 tenths as they head onto the back straight. He will have an opportunity here to slipstream into the hairpin, because Sfilo does not have the benefit of slipstream. So watch out for a Micah move. He's in P6, a couple of places ahead of this. Here comes Tuamala as well on Carala. Here comes Micah. Oh, a little edge to the inside there for Sfilo. Just making Micah think about going down the inside there. That was smart. It wasn't like a full commit. He didn't block him per se. It was well before the braking zone, but it just put Micah off. And he's done it again, you know. And Micah sent it down the inside as a result. They both made the corner. Oh, what's happened here? Tuamala's round. What happened?
Yes.
To Tuamala.
Interesting.
Yeah, let's have a look at see if we can grab that on replay. Replay? You know what I meant. I think he's trying to go down the inside here on Yunus Carala. Oh, he's fully alongside. No, he just lost it. To be honest, I thought Carala had spun him there by making contact at the apex, but actually he's just lost it under power all by himself. So Tuamala has one person to blame, and it starts with Mikhail and ends with Tuamala.
What's in between? Face?
Hopefully some brain cells.
Who knows?
Carala P7 and Custis Filo. Yeah, see that little jink? It's fine to do that. It's on the edge of acceptability, but you can do that. It sort of stops people committing to the inside. As long as you do it early enough and not in the braking zone and cause contact, I don't mind it so much, you know. It's it's not so bad.
Just as long as it's predictable and you're not just making a driver feel like you're going to crash into the side of them. Corolla's attacking Chris's Philo as well. Micah got past him. We saw that happen at the corner approaching now, just a lap ago. But he's got 5 cars behind him, Chris's Philo here. And each one of them looking to get past him very quickly. As Corolla tries to go around the outside, almost spins it. And we'll find Magnusson on his inside here. But Magnusson's not been able to get a better exit than Jonas Corolla, and it's also compromised Magnusson a little bit as Bobby Vakanov looks to pressure the KV86 driver, who's also pressured by another KV86 driver.
Yeah, they have not made their way through the pack like Micah has, and paying the penalty potentially for not working together as perhaps they would have liked to have done, and they've been stuck here with Vakuinov for a while, you know. So look at that around the outside from Hakimi. That's a great move. And he's actually going to take that position as they head towards the Nordkurve, turn 1. That was splendid. Around the outside, love that.
Yeah, clean driving from both of the drivers, and they kept side by side for a good couple of corners there. Started in Sachs curve and ended at the Sud curve. So 4 corners they navigated safely side by side, and that was some decently impressive racing compared to what we've seen today. Overall, in terms of drivers' standards, this is Messier PS, who's up in P12 with Timo Toika.
Yeah, you got it.
Sorry, my apologies on that one. But he's also under pressure by Dan Hayek, who looks to the inside, kind of late. Oh, he's sliding, and Messier Pierre gets the inside line, gets the switchback on Dan Hayek, but they're also going to have the inside line heading towards Mercedes, the Mercedes section. But Dan Hayek's going to have the superior inside line here, as long as he gets past Messier.
Oh, yes!
Oh, this is risky, but
yeah, he's got away with it. He's got away with it. Yeah. Oh no! What is that? Is that Kauper or Koritz? Koritz.
Not took out.
Well, you say that, but Koritz has turned across his nose there. I don't know, man. Oh, get off the racing line. Let's watch this back. By the way, my room is absolutely roasting, so if I'm a little more grumpy than normal, apologies. Yeah, no, that's on Koritz, I'm afraid. He needs to give more room than that. He's completely misjudged that one, unfortunately. Sorry, Casper. But a slow car on the inside there, you've got to give more room. He was as far inside as he could be, I think, personally. Joe Gillette, by the way, 3.3 second gap to Skinner. Is his to lose from this point, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Gillette is really out front. It's not close cut between them at all, between Skinner and Gillette. But Patterson is looking to get in on the action, get further up into the second podium position. He's going to be slipstreaming all the way down to Mercedes and potentially further on in the lap unless he gets a move done. Looks to the inside, but it's covered by Ben Skinner. Slightly late braking, but they're able to get it stopped. Each of them sort of close enough. Front wing to diffuser. We're going to head towards the Sachs curve and the stadium section, and I think Patterson is going to have to back off a little bit, and that dirty air probably makes him struggle a little bit for these fast corners, and also the 2 cars behind him will be feeling the, I guess, negative effects of the dirty air on these cars through this fast speed corners, but they will reap the benefits of the slipstream. We've got a yellow in sector 2. I don't see anyone in particular falling back, although I think it's Mihailo Vicentajevic who's gone off. Yeah,
that's unfortunate for Mihailo. I'm watching Patterson here. I think he has better pace than Skinner, you know, and may well be able to steal that P2 if he's close enough towards the hairpin. But Skinner, so far this race has not really been troubled down into the hairpin from what we've seen. So we'll keep an eye on that. Micah is closing on Hockenheim. I think Micah can maybe get P2, but I think, and in fact, Hockenheim lets Micah go. So those two working together. So Hockenheim letting Micah through. Micah up to P4. They're, of course, optimal teammates. So let's see what Micah can do then. He's relatively close to Patterson. Not too far back from Ben Skinner. It could be P2 from Micah, which P1 and P2 is a fantastic result with big asterisks over P1, over race 1, I would say.
Yes. And Micah is looking kind of racy, but I don't think at this point in the race he'll be able to get Joe Gillette. I know you've just said that, but I think it's important to reiterate here that I don't think it's possible for Micah to get much higher up than the two cars in front of him, as Patterson's also falling off the back of Ben Skinner, 6 tenths between them as they enter the straight. And yeah, Micah has done slightly better than his KV86 counterparts in race 2 here. But I also think that he's not had the pace he would have wanted, because he will have wanted easily to be at the front here.
Yeah, he's been around 5 seconds off the lead the whole race, hasn't he? And Gillette, obviously, with that clean air, is able to maximise his pace, whilst Micah has to make those individual overtakes and lose time each time. So, yeah, not ideal. Just reading some YouTube chat comments. Unfortunately, I'm going to stick by my stance here. Unfortunately, Casper did turn into PS, even though PS was recovering and off track. He was there, and Casper just should have run around the outside of the corner and lifted and lost a tenth rather than all the time he did lose. Here comes Patterson then, way too late on the brakes. He's going to run wide, and Micah's going to go through easy peasy. So that's one for Micah, done and out of the way as they head into the stadium section. Patterson just too late on the brakes to make the corner. That was of his own doing, of course, as there's another yellow flag in sector 1, but it's only brief, so someone obviously running off track and unable to keep it on track there. Briefly flashing a yellow. So Micah, I think this should be quite easy for him given his pace this race, his overall pace in the event actually. With 5 laps left, he's not a second faster than Gillette, so I think this is going to be Hunter Birch's another Hunter Birch win.
Yeah, 2 in a row essentially for Hunter Birch. Joe Gillette is having a great fit of pace here when it comes to just overall, and he's getting quite lucky with his pole positions, of course. But a great race in race 1 to get up onto that pole position, up onto P14, all the way from the back of the grid, and after a spin in lap 1 as well, and that was his own doing. But here's Micah, 0.2 off the back of Ben Skinner here, towards the hairpin, looks to the outside of the track. Ben Skinner gets a slightly worse braking performance than Micah, but Micah is able to stick it around the outside as well and makes it stick. And gets it done on Ben Skinner here. So Micah up to P2, 5 seconds. It might be possible in the last 4 laps if Micah gets a great steaming amount of pace here.
Yeah, that was a cracking move from Matusz Micah round the outside, getting the traction out of the hairpin as well. And Skinner trying to hold on to P2, but unfortunately Micah just has too much for him this time around and moves himself up into P2. And will set about trying to get onto the back of Gillette, but he needs
oh no, that's Mike Bell, and I think he's done that all by himself.
So do I. Overall this season I feel sorry for Mike Bell, but he hasn't exactly covered himself in glory at this particular event. Here's James Knox on the back of Kurtis Rotiav, who frankly has had better pace than his results have shown at this event. They are scrabbling away, trying to collect a point or two, and currently that is being held by Chavinsky, and in fact he's 5 seconds ahead of Terence Grech, so I don't think Rotiav, Grech, James Knox, etc. will get into the points unless we have another DNF. Vakunov has not left Mika Hakimi alone, and KV86 will be disappointed considering what's happened to Micah further up the grid with regards to getting through the pack, you know?
Yeah, I think both KB86s have struggled. I think Bobby Vakunov put an amazing defense up against both of them for the majority of the race. Did we see contact at the hairpin there? I think we might have. But either way, it doesn't matter that much. Bobby Vakunov struggling, loses the rear end into Mercedes, but seems inconsequential for him. Only a little bit of time lost to Timo Troika behind him. Magnus Hockenheim on the back of Craig Patterson. He's still in contention here for P3 and to get up onto the podium, joining his Optimal teammate. And I think there was a bit of gravel up in the air further back, although I might have been seeing something.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be close. for Hockenheim. I don't think he has the pace, to be honest. He's been sort of sitting here most of the race, unable to make any forward progress. Obviously let Micah through, which cost him a little bit of time, and frankly he could have done that in a slightly cleaner way, not to lose so much time. But yeah, he doesn't seem to have that forward momentum that his teammate has this time around, and I think Patterson is going to hold on to P4. It's just whether Patterson can get Skinner. They've been quite close for a long time now. Patterson keeps diving down the inside, but looking at their straight line speeds, it's pretty similar. I don't know if Patterson has that advantage that he needs to actually make that move.
Yeah, it's entirely on Patterson here to sort of stay close to Skinner in this last part of the lap, as we watch Tuamala tries to go around the outside of Nick Kuiper, but he gets a better exit though, heading towards Mercedes. Kuiper has to cover the inside, but wasn't able to get there quick enough, and Tuamala is going to have the inside through the flat out corner, pushes him out wide, but Kuiper goes down the inside once more, and Tuamala turns in, but they make contact. Both of their wheels together. Kuiper is able to recover P13 from Tuamala. Tuamala got a great exit out of the hairpin. Was able to get past Kuiper, but he's ended up behind him after Mercedes after a great move by Kuiper.
Yeah, and Tuamala did a really good job on the exit of the hairpin there. He sort of let it go wide, so we got a better exit out of the corner, but it just wasn't enough to pull him fully alongside, or rather, it wasn't enough to pull him ahead as they got into the Mercedes corner, and Kuiper just braked later. And that side-by-side contact there, that's not too bad. You know, it's not like he's shoveled him out of the way. Tuamala still made the corner, Kuiper still made the corner. They live to fight another day. They're extending quite a bit through turn one, though. So anyone who is looking, you've got to make sure you don't do that too often. Here is Hakimi on the back of Yunus Karala, and he's just struggled to get through, haven't they? I keep saying it. Here comes Hakimi though, down the inside of Yunus Karala. This time around, I think he's going to make this one stick, although Karala will get a slightly better exit on that rubber on the outside of the track. And in front of them as well, there's a battle going on between Svilo and Magnussen's going to the outside. Hakimi on the inside, though, has taken the position. And in fact, Karala's under pressure here from Vakuinov, who will just not leave the KV86s alone, will he?
No, Vakuinov has been the thorn in the side of KV86's entire race. Magnussen on the inside, heading towards Snack's curve. Not able to make the move immediately. Oh, goes for the inside, hits Svilo off into the stadium section. And,
I can see what Magnussen was trying to do, but he just misjudged it. He was fractions away from getting his nose down the inside, but ended up toe poking poor Krista Svilo out of the way. And Svilo, look at where he's dropped to. That is sad for Svilo. Down in P12, he's lost a whole heap of positions as a result of that. I would be very grumpy with that, personally, if I was Christas. And Magnussen is
trying to let Svilo by, I think, but he's not there.
He's not there, yeah. Is he... What's he doing? Like, why would you slow down, lose 3 positions, and then fight again? Maybe he thinks Svilo is the car behind, but that's Dan Hayek in the other Reading Game Studios car.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's not advisable. Karala comes steaming into the hairpin. Got it stopped.
It is the last lap, by the way.
It is the last lap, and Gillette is going to win. He's 4.2 seconds to the good at the front of the field. He's coming through the final couple of corners now. We're watching Magnussen battle away here with Vakuinov. Vakuinov not making his way through. Gillette, though, has been very, very good from 32nd on the grid in race 1 all the way up to P14. And he is literally coming into the last couple of corners now, and will take that victory from Matusz Micah. Here he comes round the final corner. Well done, Joe. Smoky Joe, it says on the side pod. Great victory for Hunter Birch. P2 goes to Micah. Ben Skinner holds on from Patterson and Hockenheim. Here is this KV86 battle, and Yunus Karala in the middle of that sandwich, but it is going to go to Hakimi ahead of Karala, Magnussen and Vakuinov rounding out the top 9, with 10th place going to Hayek. Timo Toika is going to take 11th place for the academy team, with Svilo, unfortunately for him, down in P12. Tuamala, Kuiper and Chavinsky rounding out the points, and this is Kurt Rotiav we're watching here as they come through the final corner. The rest of the field not scoring any points from Greg downwards. And we have a whole host of DNFs to go through as well.
Those must have happened relatively recently. Florian Haase was out 4 laps ago. So quite a few retirements in those last couple of laps. Parker retired with 5 laps to go. Haase retired with 4 laps to go. And Dexter and Kuritz out with 7 laps to go.
So we'll quickly run through the order. We'll move on to interviews and hopefully get a word with our race 1 and 2 winners. But race 2 was won by Joe Gillette with Micah Skinner on the podium. Patterson, Okinawa, Hakimi, Karala, Magnussen, Vakunov and Hayek rounding up the top 10. The rest of the points paying positions: Toika, Svilo, Tuomala, Kauper and Chavinsky. Terence Grech, James Knox, Rotiav, Dix and Bell round out the top 20. 21st is Penny with Menink, Vicentievich and Pies and Golda, the final finishers, with Haase, Parker, Dexter, Kuritz, Taras out. And just a couple more retirements was Brody Lawless early on and Dan Hutt very early on. I didn't see what happened to either of those. So, Alex, as we just head into the interview section, we'll just wait for someone to join. We have the Belgian Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time on the 6th of August, and then there will be a 4-week gap to Monza. So, Spa in 2 weeks. I'm much more looking forward to that one, to be honest. I love Spa. Absolutely my favourite.
Well,
oh, is it? Oh,
early,
happy.
but...
What?
It's 2 days early, but yeah.
Well, it doesn't
Basically
count then, does it? I mean, it's not.
No, yeah, I could go commentate FS1 that round. I mean,
You know, my birthday's in June. You didn't hear me harping on about it.
yeah, whatever. 2 days is closer than whatever you probably had, I'm sure.
Yeah, so Belgian Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time for Alex's nearly birthday. And in between that, we, of course, have 3 more races here at Hockenheim. In 2 days' time, it'll be Formula Sprint 1. Next Tuesday will be Super Lights, and next Thursday Super League. There is the Academy Series at Zandvoort on Monday as well. Don't miss out on that one. It's always a fun watch. Alex, summarise race 2 for us as we head into the interview section of the stream.
Well, I did say race 2 is going to be dirtier than race 1, but I think I've been proven wrong, and I'm rather happy about that, to be honest. But it took 34 laps for Joe Gillette to get up to P1 inevitably, winning in race 2. So good for him, and a second race in 2 rounds, and a good race for Micah as well, up to P2. So yeah, I mean, there's not much talking points really from that race. A couple of incidents, but nothing really to say other than that. And we have nobody that is. Well,
we have Ed Hunter. Let's speak with Ed, because he's a team manager at Hunter Birch, of course. Ed, how are you feeling? Don't elaborate too much. I know what you're like.
Okay.
How are you feeling? Good. Yeah, good.
I'm very impressed with what Joe pulled off. What was it? P31, because Josh Dexter started from the pit, so it wasn't technically last. But he went all the way through to 14th in race 1, got a couple of points. And then, race 2, started from the front, a bit of threat from Skinner. But once he cleared Skinner, it was really just, he had this plan for fight. And he said, right, I think I'm faster than this lot. I'm going to build a buffer and hope that Micah doesn't catch me at the end. And that was basically how it played out. And Mateus was actually very gracious. He congratulated Joe as well. So, I think to get our second win in 2 weeks, I think you got to take that, haven't you? That's can't be too upset with that.
I mean, Gillette has been amazing today, to be fair, considering he had a big penalty for what was really, I mean, a bit of an error on his part in qualifying, and it's a big penalty, isn't it? A back of the grid penalty for that.
Yeah, he didn't tell me about it until a couple of days ago as well. So I was like celebrating Silverstone. Yeah. He didn't want to dampen my victory parade. But then he's like, oh well, I might have binned it in quali and then reset, but if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have won. It's like, well, okay,
well, yeah, but that's what the penalty's for. I mean, he did a great job in race 1 to keep his nose clean. I I mean, bit of a shout out to Charlotte as well. I mean, she jumped into the car and did a great job in race 1, and unfortunately was just involved in a couple of little incidents, wasn't she?
Yeah, exactly. So race 1, she qualified really, really well into 9th. We started 7th for some reason, so I think 2 people must have had penalties ahead of us.
Yeah.
And then Charlotte didn't quite have the pace, and she was fighting away with Craig. And unfortunately, Craig went through on the outside at the hairpin, and then Charlotte was trying to dive back up the inside, and sort of Craig kind of was about to move back to the racing line, but left it quite late. It was one of those sort of miscommunication things. Charlotte did apologise. I did suggest she should to Craig, because I think Craig's a great guy, and it didn't cost him any positions in the end, but it wasn't fun for him, obviously, having to spin around. And then race 2, Charlotte had a pretty good start, was in the sort of battle just with Tom Parker and a couple others for 15th, and then she had a moment at the penultimate corner where she just got on the curb, panicked a bit, went full on the brakes, and unfortunately stalled it. So we were able to get it going again, but unfortunately she was down in 22nd, and then she got a track limits penalty, pushing too hard to catch back up. So she was disappointed with herself, but I think she's done a really, really good job for her first go. And obviously she's been really successful in endurance. I can't wait to have her back in the car again. And I think we might have a filling in for Joe in Singapore later in the season, 1st of October, I think, that round. Okay. So look forward to more Charlotte Menick antics, because she's been great fun to have around.
Excellent. All right, thanks, Ed. Lovely to hear from you, and congratulations again.
See you around. Bye.
Right, so we do have Dan Hayek. I want to have a quick word with Dan, and then I think that's the only other person waiting for an interview. So let's drag Dan in. Hello, Dan. Let's see, where did you finish? P10 in race 2. Not too bad.
Yeah, but it's mainly race 1 that I'm happy about.
Of course, P6, yes.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be P5, because I think Bobby might get a penalty for that move. So, I mean, finally, I don't know, I went on like a 3-race dry streak, so I'm just happy to get some good points.
Yeah, obviously, there was Sfilo has taken some plaudits this season as well.
Yeah.
I think obviously in race 1, P6 is a very good result for you. Just a little bit off the pace though as well. I mean, it's 13 seconds back off the leader. Is that something you're working on pace wise over the course of the season?
Yeah, my main issue right now is just being able to deal with the dirty air, because it's really bad this season, and especially with not having DRS or anything and having to rely on the slipstream, it's a bit harder to overtake. And then whenever I get within half a second, I can't deal with it anymore, and I have to just either start like going for dive bombs and just get them off the racing line, or otherwise I'm just stuck. It also doesn't help that I had a really bad sector 3 in basically all weekend, and combined with dirty air, it just meant that I fell off every single sector 3.
Yeah, no, it's a tricky sector. It's you got to get the corners right, and especially the last corner is quite tricky to get right. Alex, any questions for Dan?
No, I mean, race 1, you were pretty close to a podium at one point. Did you think that was ever on, or just?
Yeah, I thought so, but then I saw that Christers was losing touch, and I realized that I couldn't really overtake him because I didn't have the pace on him. And then even if I did, I probably wouldn't catch them. But yeah, I saw the entire pack in front of me, and I thought that there would be a small chance.
Well done, Dan. Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
So we'll just quickly round up our thoughts from the event, Alex. Obviously, yeah, Micah race 1 move. I got berated in the YouTube chat by Owen McGorgy for moaning straight away, but he came from so far back and slid it into the corner, made contact. It was just such a late dive. I don't know if you know, it's difficult to get excited when he was clearly so far back and sending it, and it was a bit of a send and hope, really, from my point of view. What do you think?
I definitely agree with you there that it was in a way a desperate move on the last lap, but also I dislike that this is becoming such a trend where we're just using other drivers as well to brake, and also to expect them to give you room and expect them to yield to you, even when you're doing some rather questionable moves.
I mean, for me, right, we do this every couple of weeks, right? And sometimes it's great racing, but it's too often we've seen these incidents happen. It's just got to get better. There was too many penalties at Silverstone. I fear the same here at Hockenheim. People are just being too brave, and I mean, ultimately we race here for fun, don't we? And I think if you're hitting other people and causing them to not have fun on the evening, ultimately, you know, you've got to have a look at yourself, and that's happened too often this season, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So, but nevertheless, this is a sort of tier 4 championship. The driving standards aren't going to be as amazing as further up the career ladder, but that doesn't mean to say that it's, you know, you can just smash about and tip up. And yeah, I mean, it's a serious championship, and I think we have to do better. But that's my opinion. This has been Hockenheim. Alex, any final thoughts?
Yeah, it was just a race, or 2 races even, that had questionable driving standards. Not the worst we've seen, but still not the best by a long mile.
Yeah,
and I totally agree with you on your remark that as much as it is a junior series, a very low down category in terms of the career ladder, very simple.
Yeah,
it still requires a bit more care when it comes to driving.
Yeah, people take it seriously, and I think that's important. And I think if you're not, then I don't know. Anyway, thank you ever so much, everyone, for joining us. I'll be back in 2 weeks. GPVWC will be back in 2 days. Thank you, Vincent, for camera work and being a little voice in my ear. And thank you, Chris Williamson, again for being directing the driving today, the race director. So thanks, everyone. Until next time, until then, tschüss and goodbye.
Goodbye.